So we're going to be doing a rough model of a Digimon character, Palmon. So first what I want to do is I want to import into my front and my side cameras the image planes that I have created earlier. So there's in source images, Palmon right here, front, and you'll see it's quite small. Right now my world space is in feet, so this is 0.262 feet. Let's make this person approximately 6 feet tall. Alright, and let's put his feet on the ground. So that would be, this is the X, Y, Z axis, 2.6. Puts his feet on the ground. There we go. And we want to move this back. Show image planes. We want to move it back in Z space, so we could say -6 would work. Something like that. And go here, view, image plane, import image. Palmon side view. And we're going to have to do the same thing. It's small, so 6 by 6, 2.6. So the feet are on the ground. And we need to move it in -X space. This is X, Y, Z, so -X space, -6. And now I have my two image planes. And this is going to be part 1 of the tutorial, and we're just going to create some very rough primitives first. So let's start off by creating a cube, and I'm going to put this and make this the size of the head, something like this and something like this. Now what I want to do next is I want to go into polygons, mesh, smooth, and I'm going to do division levels 1, and that kind of turns it into more of a sphere than it is a cube. Alright, and you see that it's kind of within the space, and we're going to have to add more geometry, but the whole point is we're trying to keep the resolution of the mesh as low as possible for as long as possible. Alright, and really we only need to have 1/2 of this sphere, but let's duplicate it. So that's the head, and let's make this one small enough for the body right here. If we press 3 for subdivision smoothing, then you'll see here that it gets smaller, but as we add more resolution, that won't happen. So we can do like wireframe unshaded. So that's that. Next, I'm going to create the legs and the arm. Alright, so for the leg, I'm going to go to cylinder, and I'm going to do axis divisions 8. Alright, and then the rest of this 1 by 2 is all fine. We can just deal with that later. And I'm going to just make it smaller, a little bit longer. Having that little line in the middle is not bad because we can use that to bend the leg just a smidgen. Alright, and I'm just going to get it somewhat in place for the leg here. Now you can't see the leg. You can say wireframe unshaded, and you can say shading X-ray, so we can see through there. Shading X-ray, so we can see through there. And in this case we have the arm, we don't actually have the leg, but we can kind of guess that it's going to be relatively equal. Okay, so the thing is I'm going to connect this to this, and I don't want these triangles, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to delete that, back a bit. Alright, so the reason I'm doing that is I want to connect my 8-sided polygon, my octagon, to an octagon here. So I need to make sure that this has an octagon and this has an octagon. Right? And I'm going to connect the two. Alright, and if you notice, I'm just roughing it in, getting some basic primitives in there first, and we're going to start doing a little bit more detail work later on. And if I want, I might want to save this as Palmon model. I'm going to call this tutorial 01. Okay. Since I have this one already, I can actually just duplicate it, and I can move it over here. Okay. And I'll probably want to just move it like this, and my scale is on local, on object. Alright. And we're gonna make it so that we prepare it to have these claws, something like this. So this arm will be here, this leg will be here, and we'll start roughing in all of these different things soon. Let's do wireframe unshaded. Alright. So this is the very, very, very rough version of this. And it's very, very low, which is good, because I want it to be low. So, next, let's do a little bit of adding some geometry in here. So I can go to my tools, and multi-cut is pretty good. Right now this is a little bit too low resolution, so I might want to go here and here. Alright. And what that's doing is, if you see here, this is going to create a set of 4-sided polygons, 4 quads, just like we have here and here. And that's just going to be a nice number to work with. I can then go in here and I can start like fixing the geometry by hand. And you'll see that I'm trying to maintain the flow of the mesh so that it follows the contours of the silhouette here. This down. I can even bring this over here. So that's gonna I'm gonna create the eye inside here in a bit. This will be here. This will probably be right about here. I can push this up just a smidgen. Okay. Something like this. Now, this eye right here, so this might help with the mouth, but I'm going to need to add something here. So let's add one more layer here. Alright. Like this. And I'm just doing a very rough mesh right now. So I'm going to add into the mouth later. I can pull this one out. Bring this in. Alright. So if I press 3, it's starting to do there. I'll need to do some things on the side. I'm not really ready to add any more in. I'll fix this in a little bit. But we're just getting close. Alright. Now it's always important to look at both the front view, side view, and perspective view. So you see here, I need to add in a lot of fixes to the side view. And you know what I'm going to do at this point? I'm going to get rid of half the face because it's kind of getting in the way of knowing where things should be. So this part right here can also be pulled up. Get it? I'm going to want to add in another line here because this is not this is too sharp here. Bring this down a bit. But you can see here how flat it is, so I can even just go in here, add another line, go in here, add another line. So it's, you can see that it's rough, but it is I am starting to put in some geometry. Start bringing this in, start bringing this in, pulling this back a bit, pulling this up a bit. Alright, and basically one thing we're going to go for is we're going to go for an even distribution of polygons. So right now, like this size and this size are not very even, so we're gonna have to like go in there and kind of average this out. So we're looking for, so there we go, press 3, and it's starting to get along there. It still has some issues here. We're going to just stop right there. We're going to spend a lot more time on the head in another tutorial. Let's just say this is a beginning thing. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Working on this, but this is going to be the beginning. Alright? Okay. Save. And let's do the same thing with the body. The body's going to be a lot easier. Basically, I'm going to want to add in some geometry here. Like that. And I will pull this up like so. I will pull this up like so. And I'm going to have an 8-sided hexagon, right? It's four quads here to connect to here. And I'm going to connect this a little bit right here. This little bit, so this will be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to add in some geometry here. I'm going to add in some geometry here. And again, I'm just going to delete this side and start pulling this in. So let me explain a little bit more about this 8-sided that I'm talking about. Okay. So if you see here, I've got, just isolate this, selected. I have a quad here, and a quad here. All of this, when I'm ready, I can connect to that 8-sided polygon cylinder. And here, I have the same thing. I have a quad here. But from the side view, if you look at it, I've got some mesh here, but I could just add in right here. So here and here. And so these 4 polygons right here, 4 quads, are going to connect to to this right here, and I need to have something similar, so I have something. But you see here, it's kind of up here, so I'm gonna maybe do these four right here. But I need to go in here and maybe fix this a bit. Fix this a bit. Okay, and then side view. Let's go in here. It's kind of a mess. And you see that the back is not like the belly, so we're going to need to go in there and we're going to need to kind of fix the back. So it's good to go back and forth between the different views, between the front view and the side view. And we're going to have to think about the tail also, but let's just go in there. Okay. So we're also going to eventually connect the head to the body here. Alright? But for now we can just keep them separate. Keeping things separate for a while can be pretty helpful. So you see how this body is starting to look okay. Again, this is just a rough one. Let's do the leg. The knee is about here. And so this image plane is taken from a 2D image, and you'll see that it's not really on the ground. It's kind of tilted as if, so it doesn't really work in the orthographic view. But it'll be a good enough guide. So I can even just pull this here. Alright. And I want to also bend the leg just a little bit. So when I do my IK handles in the joints, it knows where that bend is. So you don't see that in the image plane, but you'll feel it. Alright. If you want, you can even delete these, because these are going to be connected to this part right here. Pull this up again. Something like that. Alright. Now we can start working on the arm a little bit more. Something like that. We'll curve it a little bit later. We're going to keep it like this for a while. But we can there we go. Something like this. Maybe even we're going to extrude out a bit, so let's just go like this. And we'll talk about how to do the hands and the fingers in a bit. But alright, so that's good for the, and you'll see here this looks fine, but look how much different this is. So I need to go back here, move it here, vertex spaces, something like that. So I'm getting close. Again, We're keeping it as low as possible for as long as possible. This is going to need some more curves, so let's just look at this as a nice even set of polygons. Alright. Okay. And now we can go in here and we can do a little bit more polishing. Again, trying to maintain a nice flow, mesh flow. So how this one right here, you want to kind of give it a nice mesh flow. Alright, pull this up just a smidgen. Pull this up just a smidgen. Okay, that's kind of good. Nice, it's following that. Good. Alright. So again, if I want, I'll eventually be connecting this one to this one, and I need to start thinking about creating the hands. So we'll call this one, let's just fix this a little bit right here, a little bit bothersome. Pull this one in a bit. Alright, we'll deal with this in a bit. Okay. So that's a nice, very, very, very rough start.